What up, what up, what up? This is Mike the Philosopher here with another one with special guest. Key2 is in the building. How are you?
Hi, Mike. I'm well. Thank you. Thank you for
Oh,
having me.
yeah. Glad you could join me. Okay. Um, a lot of things going on in the news now. You got a lot of couples breaking up. You got Jody Taylor Turner Smith and her husband. You got Papoose and Remy Ma,
Remy.
you got Jeezy and Jenny Ma, you got all these couples. So Tyler Perry came out with a saying. He said that women should accept men where they are, and if all they can do is pay a light bill, the women should accept that.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And anybody who can't do that, that doesn't mean they're not worthy of you. That means that they need to either attempt, try, learn, find out enough about you to be able to figure out what that is. And
Yes.
that's not money because
Yep.
because you listen, a lot of women, especially black women, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but I will. In the in our society right now, black women are making a lot more money for the most part than black
Yeah.
men, right? There are a lot of black men who are successful, but for the most part, black women are making the money. So if you can find love, if that man works, at whatever job, and is a good man and is good to you and honors the house and honors his wife and does what he can, because his gift may not be your gift,
Exactly.
that is okay. That's not somebody who's beneath you.
Yeah.
That's somebody who came to love you at your worth, right?
Yes.
And as long as he's secure in himself to know that, yep, she makes most of the money, all I can pay is the light bill, as long as she's comfortable enough to say, I'm gonna cover the mortgage and all the other stuff, you've handled the light bill, baby, you can take me to dinner every now and then, that is fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But that's so hard for a lot of people to take in because that means, no, I need somebody to, who is, they need to make 5 times more, and I got to have. Well, you
Keep looking,
go on, keep your
girl.
list, baby.
Yeah.
God bless you. Hope it happens. Go on, keep your list. But when you talk about just someone to love you and support you,
Yes.
I know people who have, whose men can't touch what they make. But when you see them together, that love, that support, that I got you, babe, it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I don't completely agree. I think I agree to some extent, right?
Okay,
um,
okay.
I do not entirely agree. So, as I say, to some extent, I think if you guys are in a relationship and you're both building, um, yeah, then maybe it could work, provided the man you're with is only temporarily just paying the light bill. But if it's indefinite, then you have a problem. Then that's what you've chosen, and I guess you will have to deal with it. I think in marriage, that's a totally different ball game. If your husband can only pay a light bill, then that also depends on the situation as well. If it's like due to a financial setback, then that's something you both will have to work around. If it's what he's willing to do, then just work around that. That's my thoughts around that.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, I can't entirely agree with just accepting a man because he can pay a light bill, because I think the purpose of a relationship is to be compatible, to share the weight. I think I've mentioned this before. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Is in today's time, 2023, is love conditional?
For many it is, but it shouldn't be. I don't think it should be, but it is. Um, for some, but I don't think love is conditional. By definition, if you love someone, it should be unconditional. That's what I think. But
Well, as you know, and you watch RTL too, as you know, it seemed to be conditional. along with like, and I know that you said it is, but just like with Aries, right? Aries did not choose Phil because she wasn't, confident with his income. She didn't feel that security with his job. That she didn't feel safe. So if love is conditional, what's really is the this is why a lot of marriages, I think, is breaking up, because love is
Yeah.
conditional. So what is really the point then of getting married and being in a relationship?
I think having shared values, right? Similar vision of life. I mean, you can't build a life with a man who's only willing to bring a light bulb bill to the picture. So I think if you guys have the same vision and a common understanding, then you can work around it. But people are getting into marriages or relationships um, without clarifying, you know, certain things. And another thing, wait. I had something in mind, but it just slipped my mind. Oh. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think people aren't getting married for similar reasons then. I think people have their own motives for getting married, and that's the issue.
Yeah, they have their own motives for getting married, but it seems as though, um, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a man's value is really based on his finances. Um, that seems to be the number one thing for women. Am I right in that?
No. Well, yes, you are. And that's something you've mentioned before that women typically look for a provider, protector, and a leader. So I don't see anything wrong with pursue or seeking a man who's a provider in a relationship. I know we had this conversation before, and you mentioned that men desire a woman who is submissive, cooperative, and what is the other one? Feminine. So women are also looking for a provider. I don't see anything wrong with that. I just don't
Yeah,
think that should be the only thing you look for in a relationship or when
right.
pursuing
And
a
that's
partner.
true, and I get that. And like I said before, when it comes to the male role,
Yeah,
the ask is universal all over the world. Protector, provider. Okay, a man has to be both of those things. And you
and a
know,
leader. Yeah, at that part.
yeah, and a leader, and a leader. Um, it just gets ambiguous when it comes to what the women are expected to do, and I think a lot of women are just confused on what is expected of them. Right? Can you name the two things that men should get from their women?
But yeah, submission, cooperation, and nurturing. I remember that one. Yeah, the woman has to
Nurturing,
be nurturing.
nurturing, submission.
Yeah,
So if a
I
man,
think
so if
there's
a man,
more to it. As well. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. So if a man don't get submission from his woman, should he just get rid of her?
No, no, he should communicate that. And the woman should act accordingly. I mean, bring it to her awareness. I don't see anything wrong with that. And if a man can only pay for a light bill and a woman is overwhelmed with the financial weight, she has every right to communicate that. And hopefully the man will love the woman enough to also evolve and work towards contributing more than just a light bill. I mean, that's just one factor. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah. So, but here's the thing: a lot of times, if a man don't have it, a lot of times a man can't even really uh get in the front door if he don't have uh you know the money to pay most of the bills, so to speak.
So,
But women often can get in the front door without their two demands from a man, like submission and nurturing and femininity. Well, those are the three, right?
Hmm.
So why are women so non-negotiable when it comes to things? Why can't women see Tyler Perry's point of view when it comes to the whole um you know if you love that man, you should stick with that man no matter if he can pay the light bill. Why is it that women are so non-negotiable when it comes to certain things like that?
Can I be entirely honest with you? I think most women, it goes back to the need or the value. So ultimately, if I'm living alone, I can pay for my house and my light bill. Life is great. Like I can live life as a single. Um, Ultimately, when you partner with a man, you're hoping he'll fulfill or partner with you to be compatible with you. He'll be able to do all the things you struggle to do, right? And you guys can help each other in that sense. So I think for most women, if they can already pay a light bill and that's all a man is willing to offer, and you guys stay together and now you're paying for this, for like, oh, it sounds so bad. But I think some women would consider the man a dependent of sorts because um, he's not really contributing much, I think.
Right, right.
I think that's a major concern. Like, we ultimately partner with each other to work through life together, make this journey a lot more easier together because life is already, tough enough individually. So you hope that you'll partner with someone so you guys can, like I said, carry the weight, contribute towards each other in areas where complement one another, hopefully. I think that's the purpose of partnering. Yeah.
Are you for women's rights and equal rights with men?
Equal rights. Can you elaborate more on that?
Well, are you for like equal pay for women versus men and things like that?
No, no. I think it should be purely based on merit. I think there's some women who work as hard as men, and then there's some women who occupy similar positions as men who aren't as effective in certain roles. They get paid the same as men, but they really don't contribute the same. So I think pay should be based on merit. Honestly, that's what I think. I don't know if that means equal pay.
Yeah, yeah. It sort of means equal pay. So, whatever a man is supposed to get paid, they'll pay that to the woman too. Do you think that women are making more money nowadays?
Yes, only because they've been given more opportunities, I think.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
So,
which
so if women are making more money nowadays, don't you think some of those financial expectations should be lowered so that they can even out a little bit? Like, shouldn't men be
yes, sure.
expecting women to pay just as much as men?
That's a good point. Yeah, I think. Oh, I think so. But that's oh my goodness, that's so hard to take in. Yes, they'd have to work around it. Yes, yes.
so so
So
they
I think Mhm.
so they should um lower their expectations. Do you think that that's happening in society, or are women still holding on to the man has to pay most of the bills, and even though I'm making more money as a woman, I get to keep my money because traditional roles are set for him to pay most of the bills. Do you think that that's kind of what's happening right now? Because if I'm being honest, that's an advantage to women because they can not only make more money, but they can still hold traditional expectations for the men. When in fact, the the income is starting to even out, right?
Yeah, you're right. Um, yeah, I think that's the problem with today's world, the modern world. Um, things aren't traditional. So people, yeah, I agree. We need to adjust some of our expectations. But oh man, this is tricky. Yeah, I think in the event that, let's say, you are married and you're earning a lot more than your husband. I mean, like I said, in a marriage, it's a totally different ball game. But I think if you're dating, well, actually, it shouldn't even matter. Oh my goodness, this is tricky. I don't, what, things are completely different. Yeah, you're right. I think women should would probably have to adjust these expectations slightly because the world is completely different from um, how it previously was. Traditionally, women used to earn a lot less than men, but now, if you're earning a lot more than your husband, then I mean, if you both contributing towards the vision of the family or the household, then
Shouldn't
you
matter where
probably
the
have
money comes from,
it
right?
shouldn't. Yeah, it really shouldn't.
But what
Unless, mhm.
but what often happens is women who make more, they still hold on to old traditions, and when they don't see their man making more money than them, they start to lose respect. You see what I'm saying? So that if they
Yeah,
start to lose respect, then you know what difference do it make if you're going towards the family goals?
yeah. I don't know, Mike. It's sounding really no now.
Hmm.
I don't know. Honestly, I think I don't think respect should be based on who's making the most money though. It should be based on what that man is contributing. The best he can contribute is 40% of the household income, then then that's fine. I guess if that's the best he can do, and the woman's comfortable with paying the 60% of the income, then that's fine. Then they should work with that. But the moment it becomes an issue, then that's not fair. That's not fair because if that's the best the man can do, then that's the best he can do. But I highly doubt a light bulb is the best that a man can offer to a certain caliber of woman. I don't know.
Well, and that's a fair point. And listen, I'm not saying that men shouldn't hold their weight or anything like that. What I am challenging is traditional ideas and traditional roles, because oftentimes, and this is just from a male perspective, oftentimes traditional roles are expected on the male side, and modern roles are expected on the female side from the women. But the men are saying, listen, if I have to be traditional, you have to be traditional too.
But
Okay,
how? Would she have to drop her job?
what's that?
Would she have to like leave her job?
Well, if she's in the workforce, then she's a modern woman. By all measures, pretty much. If she's in the workforce, she's a modern woman. Um,
Interesting.
and if she's a modern woman, then that means by default, the man is not going to get a traditional wife or traditional woman. But he is expected still to be a traditional man. So if she's in the workforce, she is a modern woman. So wouldn't it be fair to say she needs to drop her modern traditions? And so in other words, like this, if you're, let's say, just hypothetically, right? Me and you are married, right? We're a married couple. I go to work, I make most of the money. you go to work too. You're close to me. You make about, maybe 40% or 45% of the income of the household, right?
Okay.
Now, since we that makes up 100%. Say for instance, I lose time at work. I lose time at work, and I'm not making as much. You start making more than me. Now you're making 55%. I'm making only 45%. Your and I know I'm saying yours, but I'm saying for most women, they will start to slowly feel resentment towards their husband or man because of his situation. And my whole thing is, I don't think that someone else should ever have the power to determine your relationship. Let me give you an example of what I'm saying. Say for instance, my boss, right? As a man, my boss don't really like me. I do good work, so he keeps me on the payroll, but he don't like me personally. Maybe he don't like my lifestyle or whatever, right? He started knocking off some of my hours,
Okay.
or he fired me.
Okay.
When he fires me, you want to fire me, okay?
No,
You want
why?
to, well, because I don't have the job, I don't have the income coming in that I used to. So now you say, oh, well, you don't have a job and you can only pay a light bill, and you start building resentment. And listen, I'm not saying that this is something that happens overnight. This is not something that happens, same day. But from that day, resentment does start to build. Is that fair to say?
No, it's not fair to say. Because
Okay.
if I've been doing my job all along, and I was comfortably doing my job, earning the salary that I'm earning, and you were doing your part as well. Wait, would I need to get an extra job then, I guess, to cover your additional expenses? I'm assuming that's where we're getting at here. And then I'd obviously be carrying the whole financial weight of the household because of that setback, right? Is
If
that
that if
what's
that if that's if that if you can do that faster than I can replace my job,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But then why would I have resentment? It's like a hiccup in the road. Like it's just the financial
Because
setback. Uh-huh.
your family will start applying pressure. Your friends will start applying pressure. Like, oh, he's not working yet. Oh, y'all doing this. Why should you have to get a second job, Key2? This, that, and the third. Your friends and family gonna be in your ear.
I don't
Okay.
think that's the case in all marriages. I think most marriages are as unique as the individuals in the marriage. And most of us, well, I know in most marriages, there are vows presented, and we all know for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health. So if people are committed to their vows, then this is the part where the flames come up and you need to work around it. I mean, if I have to take a second job, I think for a marriage, I would. I think if I'm married, I would have to work until my significant other is in the position to, until like you're ready to work again or get a job or start your own thing. But if we're dating, I'm not sure why I'd be burdened with your financial situation. I think if we were dating, I'll just be observing how you overcome the setback. Because losing your job shouldn't be a forever thing, ideally. As a man who hopes to be a provider, um, and wants to do that for the woman you love, then I would assume that after you lose your job, you'd start looking for ways of getting that your finances in order. I think many women aren't necessarily looking for money, and I've said this before. Women are looking for security, a resourceful man, a man who won't just be comfortable with um, paying a light bill. It's
Right,
not about
right.
the light bill. Yeah,
Let me
it's
ask
not
you
about
this.
the
Let me ask you this.
sure.
Who is the head of the household? The person
The man.
who the
Oh,
man?
sorry.
The man is the head of the household, or is it the person who makes the most money? The breadwinner.
It's the man. It's the man.
So even though you have two jobs and I'm stay at home paying a light bill, I'm still head of the household.
Yes,
Okay.
because
Okay.
I'll be working the two jobs based off of your plan, based off of your plan for the household. So you need to manage my expectations here. That okay, Kitu, you'll be taking two jobs for the year, for the next 2 years, because what I'm expecting to do in order to be a provider again is start this business, and we'd only break even after 2.5 years. So while I'm still trying to work on this, baby, you need to work on this other thing. I don't know. Like I need, if you can't be a provider, now you need to put your leadership hat on so that I can rest in that. Because
Okay.
women need security. I think what makes women uneasy is if I'm working these two jobs and you're not managing my expectations, you're not telling me for how long and why, where we're going with this. Um, the leadership part now needs to be enforced.
Well, the
That's
thing
all.
is, and it's good that you said that because in the West, women have that confused. Okay. Oftentimes women in the West, they feel as though if they start making more than their man, then they feel like they're head of the household, which is incorrect. Okay, it's wrong. But that's their mentality. Is that you know now that I'm the breadwinner, I'm the head of the household, and it has nothing to do with how much money you make. It has nothing to do with that. Um, so let me ask you this: do you think that most South African women will come to that conclusion, or do you think it's they're starting to think like Western women as far as the financial side and the head of the household things? Are there still traditional gender roles there? Let me ask you this: are there still traditional gender roles there, or is that turning into a gray area in South Africa?
Um, I think there's still traditional gender roles here. Um, but like I said, Africa imitates everything that happens in the West.
Yeah.
So I can see it slowly trickling in, even if it's just through music or a few movies here and there. But I do think the vast majority of South African households are traditional. Um, I know of CEOs who still polish their husband's shoes and iron their husband's shirts, and they earn a whole lot more than their husbands. Um, so the traditional
Really?
roles thing, that's still, yeah, that's still major, yeah. Um, I know people. This is bad though. I don't condone this, but I know people who paid for their own lobola because their husband couldn't pay for it.
On what now?
So dowry.
Oh, okay,
To
okay, yeah,
so I know. Well, I don't know them personally, but there've been instances where people paid their own dowry.
to
Um,
be married. Wow.
yeah, which is wild, but I've heard of certain instances. So women here, they just look for. I know the last time we spoke, you mentioned the sixes or something to that effect. Women here really just need like a manly man. I don't know how to explain that for lack of a better term. They just look for a man who makes them feel like a woman. So whether it's financially, whether it's emotionally, that's what I've observed. So even I've seen women with short men and they respect their husbands a lot more than any other man in the room. So it just depends on that relationship dynamic. It's yeah. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, that's good. Yeah, I have to say that that is um something that's lost in the West, and y'all are doing it better than us. I'll just be honest. If the women have that type of mentality where they still recognize that their husband is the head of the household, even if they're a CEO and things like that, um, that just tells me that they have a better idea on how family structure is supposed to be. It's not based on money, and I don't know how it got confused here in the West, but it got confused here in the West, and a lot of the women try to base it off of money because now that they're making more money, now they're saying, "Oh, well, the roles are reversed." No, the roles aren't reversed. I mean, especially if you're a religious person and a biblical person, you should recognize that the husband is still head of the household. It doesn't matter if he's, employed by the man or someone else or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
Now, let me say this: men are supposed to financially provide for their family. Don't get me wrong on that, okay? I do feel like they should be in a place where they are heading that charge. For the most part, things happen. Life happens to men just like it does women. So life happens to men, and sometimes they fall off, but that don't mean they're not the head of their household. Let me ask you this: what are the laws for divorce in South Africa? Is divorce a thing there? Tell me what is there a no fault divorce? Tell me what the divorce rates are there.
Ooh. I'm not 100% sure, but I do know it's frowned upon.
Okay.
I think it's more or less. I'm not sure, Mike. I really don't want to make it up. I'm not sure. But I do know most couples don't stand to gain anything from the divorce. I don't think it's as big of a money making thing as I've heard it is in the West. Because I've
Hmm.
heard you mention a few times that, oh, some people get married just so that they can divorce and get alimony. So I know certain couples who've divorced and no money was shared, um, especially in the custom marriages. Sometimes they just like go their separate ways, or they work out who's getting what outside of a court system. Um, so, yeah, I don't think the formal route is always taken. Depending on the couple, sometimes they can work it out outside of
So
the
so that I understand this correctly, divorce is frowned upon in South Africa, and divorce is not a money making system like it is in the West in South Africa.
marriage is a money making thing. I've seen people get married for financial reasons, but never getting divorced. That's never, yeah, it's frowned upon. Like people would rather hold on for their dear lives. like,
Yeah.
um, stay in the most, I don't condone this, but they will beg as their last. So that's the saying, they will hold on to a man who has no morals, but is the ultimate provider. I've seen that before.
Wow. Wow. Let me ask you
Like,
this. Is
yeah.
polygamy a thing in South Africa?
Polygamy, yes, but not polyamorous relationships. Like that's not, so
Right.
polygamy, yes, but you would have to be a provider and a protector and a leader in two households. have that capacity. So it's not as simple as people think it is. It's not as easy as people make it sound. Um, that's why not too many people practice it, but it can be practiced. Why? Are you
Oh,
interested, Mike?
that's hilarious. Well, inquiring's mind want to know. I'll put it that way. I am fascinated by that. I am interested in that too, because I would like to
Wow.
know. I would like to know how that would work. You said that they will have to maintain two households. Is there any
Yes.
situations where everybody's under one roof?
No, that is bizarre. It's bizarre. I actually will refer you to a TV show where there's a man. His name is Mr. Msilik. He has 5 wives, and he's a multi-millionaire here in South Africa. Each wife
Mm,
has a homestead. You provide for them. You have 5 households. You have to manage all of those according to your timetable, your laws. Yeah.
mm,
So
okay.
the households don't mix, but I mean, obviously, if you want to meet or have engagements with the whole family, that can be facilitated. But the households aren't supposed to mix.
They aren't supposed to mix.
Not that there aren't. I just mean in terms of living situations, it's very some. Well, it's not advisable to have. Well, you seldom find a polygamous. Just need to get the rules around that. But I don't think the wives live. Each wife has their own house. That's how it is, or it's
Mm.
supposed to be. Yeah.
From what I understood, they were trying to make polyandry a little more, of a thing in South Africa, but you said not so much.
No way. No, 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 no. I don't think women could do that. I don't think we have. It sounds very weird to me. I don't know of it being a thing here.
So, so in order to have a polygamous family, you have to be a millionaire there.
Not necessarily. You have to be able to marry 2 women or more than one woman. And marriage,
Does that mean that the woman don't have to do anything? Like she can't have a job too?
no, 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 not necessarily. No. You could have one wife who works, but that's one household, and then you have another household with a woman who's probably just studying. It all depends. Um, but they're separate households.
Are there uh are a lot of them successful in South Africa? A lot of those successful polygamy families, are they considered successful, or do they have a pretty high you know divorce rate or whatever the case may be?
Um, so the ones that I know have proven to be successful because there's a common understanding. The first wife would have to accept the second wife. There's certain procedures that need to be taken, and yeah, but it's not easy. But I've seen it work. In some families. I only know of one family um, in our neighborhood, and the man had 2 wives. That was interesting. The kids got along fairly well. They all went to school with me, but I think there was some tension amongst the wives, but they never show that. The wives know how to act around their husbands, so yeah,
Oh, okay, cool, cool.
yeah.
So, that's cool. So where do you is marriage in South Africa getting better or worse in your opinion?
I think I think it's still a thing, but with globalization, it's slowly becoming like a war zone. Like people are scared now to get into certain relationships because they don't want to be used for finances or used for whatever reason. The world's become so superficial. Um, I think
Is
people
that
are
is it
struggling.
is it tougher for men? Is that who you're referring to? That don't want to be, just used for finances? Is it tougher for men to commit to marriage in South Africa now?
I don't think the men. Let me just think about it. I think marriage is still a thing here, though. It's still pretty big. Um, I think the struggle is women getting a lot more vocal, uh, westernized. I can see that happening. Educated, having greater work opportunities. Um, some competing with men. I can see that creeping in with the Gen Zs a bit. But marriage is still a thing here. I don't think people are scared of it. Like it's October now. Last month was September is spring, and that's like the wedding season. And there were a whole lot of weddings going on in September, and they're still going on now. So it's still a thing. It's pretty popular, especially the traditional ones. Um, but I think in terms of dating, getting a little tricky because the economy is a huge factor as well. People's needs are evolving. The things are changing. Like you said, we're living in a modern world, and it's becoming a little harder and harder each time to, or each as time goes by, to maintain those traditional relationship structures. Or yeah.
Hmm. So, with what Tyler Perry said, do you think that that what he's right if you're married, but he's wrong if you're dating? Would you say it like that? So, in other words, what Tyler Perry said about your man paying a light bill, that's more acceptable if y'all married. But if you're just dating, you don't have to deal with a guy who's paying just the light bill. Is that fair to say, or he's
Yeah,
wrong all the way, or he's right all the way, or what?
I don't think he's wrong in certain contexts. So if let's say we're dating and you're studying and you're staying at home um, with your parents and I'm staying at home with my parents, then I mean money is not an issue. You're studying, or you can afford, or your net worth is just a light bulb, then that's fine. But if we're married and we're staying together, then it will only make sense if you manage expectations as to how long you'll just be bringing a light bulb into the household. Then it makes sense. But if you guys are cohabitating, or even if you are married and the man is comfortable with just paying a light bill, that's tricky. And you have to pay for the food. The things are like you mentioned the whole economy now. I don't think it would be fair for the woman to carry all of the financial weight.
Yeah, and here's my thing about that whole thing. If you are a traditional woman, you deserve a traditional man. And a man who is going to protect, provide for the family. And that means you staying in your feminine energy. That means uh you're being the number one thing is submissive to your man. If you're submissive to your man, that's the number one thing men ask for, submission. And number two is femininity. Number three is nurturing. Okay. If you are that type of woman, you 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 have the right to ask for more from a man, in my opinion. If you are willing to submit, and if you are willing to be feminine and be nurturing, you have a right for a higher ask. The problem here in the West is that women have that super high ass from the men, but they don't have the feminine, they don't have the submission, they don't have the the nurturing, they don't have these things. This is where the problem is in the West for the most part, from my perspective, from what I see. The closer you are to someone of like, you know, your mentality, or South African women, for the most part, mentality, I know it's changing, but I should say more traditional woman's thinking, the higher they're asking can be. But the more modern you are as a woman, the less you should be asking for. Because if being a modern woman works for you, you have to accept a man being modern. And a man being modern means he no longer has this obligation of financial stability like a traditional man would have. Why? Because he has a modern woman. His modern woman is going to work. She has her career. She has things going for her. She can contribute to half of the bills. She's not going to be at home. She's not going to be a stay-at-home wife. So her ask of a traditional man is too high. The most a modern woman will get is a modern man, and the most a traditional woman will get is a traditional man. Do that make sense?
It does. But what if a modern woman decides to be traditional? What must, or wants her needs to be met, or her expectations of a traditional man to be met? Should she now drop her job, and then the man will rise to the occasion? What needs to happen? What if the working woman is like, I'm a modern day woman, but I mean, um, I think relationships should be fluid, like they should be dynamic, depending on where you guys are in life. I don't think it's always going to be traditional, especially in today's world.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and that's the thing, and that's part of the problem. I think
what,
I think relationships should all be traditional. All be traditional. I don't even like the modern way of relationships because it's not it's the expect it I put it this way. Modern or men nowadays, especially in the West, all we get is modern women. We don't get traditional women in the West. Okay? All Western women want a traditional man. They're not even aware of what a modern man is. And if they knew what a modern man was, they would look down upon a modern man. What's a modern man? A modern man is a guy who split the bills 50-50. Okay? A modern man is a guy who, maybe shows chivalry some of the time, but not all the time. A modern man is a guy who maybe does, half of the labor or the domestics in the household. He don't do all of that. He don't do all of them, but he does his part as far as the domestics. Maybe he don't cook, but maybe he fix things, or do half the household chores. He don't do all of them. A lot of women in the West, they don't like a guy who's they just don't like guys like that. They don't like guys who are modern in today's time. And this is why I asked you, do you feel like the ideas of people should be changing? Because a lot of times I feel like a lot of women ask for traditional men when they come with modern ways. And we're not adjusting our train of thought to accept modern men. And the reason why women are not willing to accept modern men is because they benefit this way. They get to stay modern, but they get a traditional man, they benefit. That's why they don't want no parts of a modern man. Well, that's not fair to men. Okay? If you're going to be a modern woman, then you got to accept a modern man. And a modern man is 50-50. Now what?
I just think being a completely traditional woman, uh, in today's world is a bit risky. Um, because what are you going to do? Finish school and not further your studies? And what do you do while you're waiting to be pursued by the? I mean, I think would I'm trying to understand how that would look in the modern world. Like, so you saying that I don't know. I'm trying to how. Anyway, so I can hear you definitely disagree with Tyler Perry.
No,
Um,
I don't disagree with Tyler Perry. I agree with Tyler Perry that women should um open it up now. What Tyler Perry is basically saying is modern women should accept modern men. Is really is how I heard what he said. Modern women should accept modern men, meaning he's not going to be the breadwinner of the house or whatever, and you should be able to deal with that. He probably not going to have a job, you know, a consistent job all his life. You should be able to deal with that. If he got the light bill right now, you know, that don't mean he can't still be the love of your life, Aries. You know what I mean? So that's how I heard what Tyler Perry said. He was saying, modern women, y'all need to start accepting modern men. He was a little extreme with it with just the light bill. I'll admit that because I know that, but that was enough to get the women attention to say, listen, look, y'all modern women, y'all should be willing to accept modern men.
let's say you're in a traditional relationship, right? And you lose your job, like the example you gave me now. Now you don't have a job, you have your traditional woman who can't even, all she could do is cook and bake for you and cut your toenails and give you pedicures and manicures and cater to you as
I
a
love that
man.
woman. I love that woman. But go, yeah, she's a keeper. Go ahead.
And then you lose your job. How are you going to provide for your family as a traditional man?
And
How
that,
are you going to work with a woman who's not resourceful? Like,
and
come
and
on.
that's a good question. That's a good question. And here's the thing, Kitu. I don't think women understand the pressure that men put on themselves. Let me tell you
Okay.
something. If I had a woman who did all of that for me, that is going to push and drive me so much to take care of this woman. You have no idea. She don't even have
Really?
to say two words to me. I am going to go out there and get it. And this is because I have a woman who I know got my back. That is a battery pack for me as a man to have a woman like that. But if I got one who's independent and don't need no man, I don't have no battery pack in my back for that. You see what I'm saying? She'll be okay. She'll figure it out. She got all the answers. She'll do it herself. So I don't have no battery pack. I don't have no pride in trying to take care of her. I don't have none of that. The woman who takes care of me as a man, I am going to fight tooth and nail to take care of her. That's a bit of the difference. And she don't have to say two words to me. All she got to do is look in my eyes, and I will, I will go out there and I will battle the world for her, for real.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And I'm gonna say I'm definitely that man, but there's a lot of men out there just like that. If they got a woman who they know is taking good care of them, they are going to, you know, like I say, battle the world for their woman because they want to make sure their family, their woman is taken care of. So if we're down, it's only for a short time. It ain't for a long time. You
Then
know?
I think South African men have it nice here. I promise you. I think they have it really nice here because women here can still go to work and still cater to their husbands. Like I still think it's very possible to go to work and still be a domestic queen and still
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
still be able to take care of things at home. So I don't know. I think
And I've seen a bit of that when I was in Africa too. The women were uh going to work and they were coming home and they were taking care of all the domestics too. Very strong, very beautiful, very inspiring women when I was in Africa. Um and I seen a lot of the husbands who were at the bar. I mean, that it's not a knock, it's just what I seen. They were at the bar
yeah,
drinking and getting drunk, you know. So
yeah.
a lot of the responsibilities of both the finances and the maintenance of the home was put on the woman. And
And
yeah, and you know, again, I'm not saying that that's, you know, I'm not saying that
so
Western women
maybe
should go ahead.
so maybe all Western women need is just this revelation of what you're mentioning now. That you know what, if you just and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of Western women who can do this. If you can just become more open-minded, be willing to cater to your husband and not because what I found is I see there's not a lot of discretion in what you can do in a dating relationship, in a courtship relationship, and in a married relationship. Because there has to be a distinction there. I was like, why would marriage be a thing? Do you know what I mean? I find that a lot of modern day women or women from the West give their boyfriends a whole lot, before getting to the marriage stage. And
They give them a
I
lot. What do you mean by that?
I mean, like they give them everything.
The
They give them
physical?
their everything. I'm talking physical access to their households. Like I just think so. Here, there's certain levels in every relationship. If we're dating, then we're just dating, and then if we're in a courtship, then there's certain things that you can have access to. And then once we're married, there's a whole new realm of access that a person, and both men and women, should grant each other. I don't believe in men providing for, I mean, there's a certain level of provision a man can give their girlfriend. You can't be paying for her. Well, I don't know. I'm just talking about typically how it works around here. You can't be paying for your girlfriend's school fees, for instance. That's
Well,
like,
here in the
okay.
West, the women expect the man to pay for the date. They expect the man to pay for their babysitter. They expect the man to pay for their hairdo. They expect the man to
When you
pay
go on a date,
for their nails. Yes. They expect for the man to pay for the friends they bring to the date.
no way.
I seen this one video where this one woman, she had a birthday and she
Uh-huh.
invited all her girlfriends. It's like 20 of them.
Uh-huh.
And they ordered everything on the menu. And they said, "Okay, boyfriend, or yeah, you pay for all of these women."
Why? Like that's
That's what
unacceptable.
he asked. He said, "I'm not paying for all of these women. These are all your friends. I'm treating you to a birthday dinner. I'm not treating your whole sisterhood and the tribe and your whole tribe." And she got an attitude about that. "No, you're going to pay for all of these women." He said, "No, I'm not." Okay. That's not part of the deal. And they were not married. and even if they were married, that still that's what I'm saying. There are ridiculous asks of men in the West, and there is virtually little to no um, benefits to the men, and nothing that the women are actually offering.
I can see that.
You see, there it's all take and no give, and they're being taught and trained to take advantage of men. So if you're in a culture of, uh, I kind of want to say, and I don't know how to say this without being insulting to the women. Um, but if you have a transactional mentality, I wanted to say like a prostitute mentality. And I'm not saying that the women in the West are prostitutes. I'm just saying they have a mentality of get it how you get it, take advantage, find the tricks, find the Johns, take advantage of all the men you possibly can, snatch them of all, as much wealth as you possibly can, and go do your thing and be pretty and do it and rinse and repeat. It is a like I say, a transactional mentality that the women have here in the West, and men are done with it, sick of it, passport broing it up, okay, divorcing these women who are not meeting their standards, and just not even engaging in relationships or marriage in the West, to the point where you got guys leaving this country, leaving this culture, just to go to other cultures, just to find a woman who knows the right way to do family, pretty much.
I
So
just hope it's not as bad as you're making it sound. But listen, listen, I'm hoping that all the good ones are off social media, because I think this might be what's presented in social media or in the mainstream. But I'm hoping that there are still women who don't date to get something out of it other than because the purpose of dating ultimately is to figure out if the guy who you're dating can possibly be a prospective husband, and you want to see if he's husband material, so that should you guys eventually get married, you have an exemplary figure of a man for your household, so that your children can see what a man looks like and see a good relationship between you and your partner. Ultimately, there should be intent behind dating, and it's not about getting a free meal or about getting money, because I think that's just a waste of time. I think it's a waste of time. Going on a bad or multiple bad dates is a waste of time. I think the purpose of dating is to find your person and not getting money out of them or food or
I
whatever.
agree. I agree. But
So
when you're dealing with a Western mentality,
I don't
everything
think it's okay. Sorry.
everything is geared towards money. And if women say in the West, and I'm sure there's probably going to be some women watching this video saying that, that's not true. You got to prove me wrong. Got to prove me wrong, because that's all I see is, and this is why Tyler Perry got so much heat from what he said, is because the women said, look, no, you can't do this, you can't, it's about money. Even Aries. So as soon as the women found out that Phil didn't make a whole lot of money, or he was this, that, and the third, he was canceled, not just on the show, but in the audience. Just like I've seen in the comments, women canceling Phil. Okay. It is
I like
not, yeah, I think Phil is a good guy. But the thing is, like I said, it ain't just the women on the show, it's the women off the show, it's the culture. If he ain't got this, that, and the third right now, and then I don't want to deal with him. I ain't gonna date him. You know, Aries was negative about him. her mother, her sister, or whatever, they all, Tequila, they all was writing this guy off. And it's not because of just Aries, it's because it's a part of a culture. All the women were thinking practically the same thing. Oh yeah, they were calling them all kind of bums and everything. So you got to prove me wrong. If I'm wrong on that, proof, because I'm seeing too much proof that I'm right. This is part of the culture. Women have they place they listen. People in the West, we worship money. We the dollar bill is our God. We'll do anything for the dollar bill. The we'll give our life to the dollar bill. Give our life. Spend most of our days and hours at a job that we probably don't even like. We'll do whatever we can. We'll degrade ourselves. We'll get on the internet, show our bodies, and do all kind of things. No morals, no scruples, all of that. We'll sell our soul for the dollar bill. So if we're doing that, what makes you think that that's going to stop at relationships? It's not. It's going to continue through relationships as well. And relationships in the West are looked at as transactional. Okay, I need a certain amount of finances in order for me to be happy, and that's just how women view it. However, like I said before, if you as a woman, if you are going to be a traditional woman, you have a right for that ask. But if you're a modern woman and you have 2 kids, 2 boys who are teenagers like Aries, 2 divorces yourself, you're in your late 40s, you ain't got no right to be asking. You should be happy to Phil want to be with you. In my opinion, she should be happy that, like, you got all these ridiculous standards and you divorced twice and all this other, like, give me a break. Who are you to be rejecting men when you got all these flaws yourself? I don't know. That's just how I felt. What were you gonna say?
I can see where you're getting with this. I think maybe she thinks she can do better. And that's a huge risk she's taking because
That's a whose risk she's taking because she's already, well, I think Aries is like 43. No. Janelle is about 42, 43. Aries is about 45, I believe. So she can play around if she want to, cute or not. I don't care how cute you is, curvy you is, whatever. That ain't enough for me to invest all my resources, throw my dreams away, because if Phil be with her, he can't be a comedian like he want to do. He can't do all that side stuff that he like to do, get his creative juices running. She gonna tell him that's a waste of time. Go to this job and practically be a slave to her and her family. That's really the job he's applying for, to be a slave to Aries and her family and her boys. He don't get no kids out of it. And if he stops working, then she will cancel him and let him go. It's ridiculous to me. Ridiculous.
at least she canceled him before it moved to anything else. But I mean, it's unfortunate because I think Phil is a good guy. He has a history of, like, he's shown that he's capable of accomplishing his goals and doing certain things. He's tried in corporate. He's well educated. He seems like a solid man from what I've gathered.
Yeah.
And this is where now I'm like, I wish people judged individuals based off of character instead of like all the superficial.
And that's what Tyler was practically saying. Tyler Perry was talking about, is judging men off the character and not so much off the finances. And he got so much backlash. Why? Because this culture is so used to using men for their money that they don't see the value in the guy other than his wallet. That is it. What is in your wallet? That's all I see value in. When I see a man, I see a wallet. I see that's all. That's it.
No,
And
I keep telling you, it's security though. It's not like we don't see it that way. I don't think women they think security. I think so.
okay,
It's
give
just,
me your definition of security.
it can be financial, emotional, like people seek their own, it really depends on the woman and where she is in life as well. So if a woman, let's say, is a modern day woman and she's financially secure, I don't think she'd look for a man who has more money than her. Typically she'd look, like if you're an Oprah, you look for your statement, you're looking for love, you're looking for, but I think the hungry girls are going to look for a man with the biggest, they'll see a wallet, they'll look for financial security more so than emotional security or, a solid character. I think it
Okay, so let
depends.
so let me ask you a question. And you've heard this question before, but I'm gonna ask you again. You ready? Oh,
Go.
okay. There are two different types of men: a poor preacher and a rich guy who don't treat you as well. All right. Which one of those guys? Now, the preacher, he can only pay that light bill. Okay. He can only pay that light bill, but he's an upstanding guy with values, with scruples, morals, a leader and a pillar of the community. But he can only pay that light bill because them offerings just ain't coming in. Okay. Or the other guy, rich millionaire guy. Um, he owns 3 homes, but he ain't got time for you. He's rude to you, and he got a side chick also on the side. But you got one of those homes. You live in one of those mansions that he owns. Okay, which one
Yeah.
of those guys are you gonna be with? You gonna be with the preacher, or you gonna be with that millionaire?
Well, I know who I'll pick personally, but I think you should ask your audience. I think you should ask your audience,
They
but
they don't have a microphone right now though, so you gotta answer that.
I think most women would, like, on the top of their head, pick the millionaire, but after giving it some thought, the wisest, the wise decision would be, or the wise choice would be the pasta. I would pick the pasta. That would make the most sense to me. I don't want to hit it once I get to the top. I mean, I know how to make. I have certain skills that I think I could contribute towards uh, our household. I'd help him out with the financial plan. And if I don't have a plan, I'd probably ask him to get a financial advisor so we can work around those tithes and offerings and get some interest out of them.
So
Like work around it.
so
Yeah.
so so what if he loved being a pastor? He don't he's not he's gonna be paying a light bill in perpetuity. Okay, it's his financial situation is never gonna change. It ain't
No,
no.
no, no.
No.
Don't
I'm
add that
like
to
the
the
mil.
conversation.
No. Because what I'm saying is the millionaire is going to stay a millionaire. Okay, he's not going to go broke. The millionaire is going to stay a millionaire in perpetuity to the rest of his life, and the pastor is going to be poor, like Bill, for the rest of his life. You got to pick one or the other lifestyle.
Well, let me just think. How are we going to raise a family if all you can do is pay a light bulb and I'm going to be the hard working woman
With a
and
lot of
not
love and a lot of work on your side as far as.
but
But he's a pastor. That he's passionate about being a pastor, even though the offerings ain't coming in. He's
doesn't make
passionate. He don't
sense.
want to do nothing else. He feel
Well,
like
now
the
he's just
Lord has called him to be a pastor, so he's going to stay in that position because the Lord called him there.
now he's passionate and irresponsible because ultimately, as if the Lord has called him there, he'd have to be a provider. He'd have to. be a provider. As a man who follows the word of God, he'd have to be financially responsible.
So
And paying a light bill is
which guy
not
are
being
you
financial.
picking? Which guy are you picking?
No, wait. Don't do that.
What?
Because this isn't fair. There's no way it would be that static. Like, it
It
doesn't
could
make
be.
sense.
It could be. It could be that static. I
Well,
mean, you
then
know,
why get a wife? Then why partner up with someone? The purpose
because
of life is to play. There's no
he
way.
he wants to
No.
obey God. He wants to look. He told you, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what he
Yeah.
learned in church. That's what the Lord told him. So he wants to get married. He just don't got the money. That's it.
So I'm hoping he will get inspired, like you said. Most men get inspired when they're with the right woman,
He not gonna get
because
inspired. He not gonna get
he's not a man
inspired.
of character. Then he's not noble. He's not a good man. That's not. Then he's not a
He's
good
not a
man.
good man. If he's
No,
serving the
no.
Lord,
He's serving the Lord. He's not listening to the Lord. Then he's failing to listen to the Lord, because there's no way he would stagnate and remain a poor pastor if he's applying the principles of the kingdom of the Lord.
okay. So your pick then is the millionaire who don't treat you well and got a side chick. Is
My
that-
pick is that's not fair. No. Look, my pick would be the pastor only if he'd be willing to put in the work, because
and
he's worth to
he's not gonna
millionaire
do that.
status.
He's not
Once
gonna.
he gets to millionaire status, I wouldn't have to stress about his character or his integrity. I'd know I have a faithful, loyal, monogamous husband who's going to feed into me as much as I invested into him.
Okay. All right. I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it. I'll let you escape this time. But yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty much what Tyler Perry was talking about. I like I said before, I just feel like, you know, it now that we have a modern lifestyle and now that we have modern women, we need to normalize the modern man, and the modern man is 50-50, and we need to normalize a lot of modern ways from a man and not expect traditional roles, because you know women are not striking fair deals, and men are noticing this. A lot of the women are not striking fair deals. You want a traditional man, but you want to be a modern woman, and that works to your total advantage. And that's like giving a man a 40% interest rate on a loan or whatever. Like it's just not even fair. It's like loan shark type stuff. It's not a fair deal, and men are detracting from these relationships and saying, "Look, you're gonna have to accept the modern man, because I'm no longer getting a traditional woman. So you're gonna have to accept the modern. I'm getting a modern woman. You getting a traditional man, and women aren't willing to strike that deal." Go ahead. What was you gonna say?
I think men should make their requirements clear. They should, and allow women to decide if they're willing to meet them and their expectations. And
I
then we'll
totally
have better
agree.
matches thereafter, because what I'm seeing is men are complaining about certain things that women have no idea about, right? And yeah, how can women typically are more agile than men. I think women can change and evolve a lot more easier than men. So I think if men can just communicate their expectations, um, there'll be women who be willing to change. Just let it be known that, oh, I'm Mike. I'm a traditional man. You have a job. Oh no, I can't deal with a woman who works. I want like an aide, or I want like just someone who's going to cater to me. Is that something you're willing to do? Like, man, people should communicate better, I think, and really be direct about what they expect out of a relationship or their lives in general. And then maybe we could make better matches. But for now, I just think there's a lot of using of individuals. Like people are just taking advantage of one another because people aren't being direct. You know, a man will see, oh, this girl wants my money. Okay, let's play this game now. Now we start playing each other, and you know, it's on. The girl's playing the guy for free meals and money, and the guy's playing the girl for, you know, access to her and just stringing her along and her time. So I think people should really be more intentional, pure-hearted, and the sad thing is that sometimes you may be pure and authentic, but you know, if you are pure or true and authentic when entering a situation, then you'd easily step away from anything that deviates from. Am I rambling?
No,
From
you're fine. You're
what
fine.
you expect.
No,
Which, yeah.
I totally agree with you as far as men being more clear with what they're asking for. And to put this in perspective, I'm going to that's why I do this. I'm trying to make this clear for everybody, men and women. Okay. Men want traditional women. But if we have to have a traditional woman, a modern woman, we're going to be a traditional man. Okay, that's what men across the board, and I'm speaking on behalf of all men. Okay, we want a traditional woman, but if we gotta have a modern woman, you're gonna have to accept a modern man, 50-50 at the least. Okay. Men value, number one, submission, number two, femininity, and number three, nurturing. Okay. If you want provision and protection, you have to provide submission and femininity. Submission, because if I'm going to be a traditional man, I'm going to need you to submit to me. Part of my protection will require your submission. You have to submit for me to be a protector of yours. Okay, that means you have to listen to what I'm telling you. If I'm telling you that it's not safe there, don't go over there, you have to submit to that. Make my job easier as a protector and a provider by submission. That's why that's number one. Number two is the being feminine. A man will put a battery pack in his back for a woman who is feminine. He will not want to fail in any way. He will not want to even pay 50-50 or whatever the case may be. He will want to, the more feminine you are, the more traditional that man wants to be. I don't think women understand that part. Okay. If you are a masculine woman and you're an independent woman and you can do good without a man and all of this other stuff, the least amount of a traditional man you deserve a way modern man. You need a man way over here, close to a feminine man, just to match your energy. Everything is because you're so far in the masculine lane. You need a man to be more submissive. And this is what women don't understand. If you are in your natural state over here as a feminine woman, you're going to get a masculine man all the way over here on the left or right, however you see it. Now, if you are into the man's spectrum, you're going to need a man who is more feminine just to match your energy. Everything is about duality in the universe. You can't get past duality. Your energy is going to be matched with the opposite energy. This is why opposites attract. This is why, even opposite magnetic poles attract, because opposites attract. Duality. If you want a masculine traditional man, you got to be a super feminine, traditional woman. Those opposites attract. Women in the West, I don't think they understand that. A lot of people. That's why I'm explaining what men are asking for. So it's very clear to women who don't know what men want or don't know what men are asking. And a lot of times women don't even ask men what they want because they don't really care what men want. They only care about what they want out of the situation. This is why it hasn't been clear to women why or what men want, because at the end of the day, none of them really care. None of them really care.
Something.
Well, I put it
Something.
this. I'll say that as a whole, I don't think women care. I'm not saying there's not some women out there who don't care. I'm saying as a whole, I don't think women care because they're winning with the way that it's set up now. They know that they're winning with the way that it's set up now. I get to be a modern woman and he has to stay a traditional man. This is the best scenario for me, but it's not fair to the men. Okay? It's not fair to the men. And men are realizing this. And, you know, a lot of time men don't talk as much as women. So we didn't even really understand that what was going on with me is going on with a whole bunch of other dudes. Okay, I'm not alone. I'm not on an island. I thought it was just me as a man. But now that I got the internet and I got all this, I got this community now, I see a whole bunch of brothers going through the same thing I went through. Now we have an understanding of how the female mind is working. But we as men, we don't really talk amongst ourselves. That's why it wasn't really clear what men were looking for and what men were expecting out of women and what men were giving to women. But now it's getting more clear. That's a whole reason why I decided to do this channel. I decided to do all of this stuff. So that in a nutshell is what men are asking for. Traditional women, so we can stay traditional men. But if you're going to be a modern woman, you got to expect a modern man. And we need that, we need that submission, that femininity, and that nurturing. Any comments on that?
I can see that. I get it, but yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
That's,
You sure there's not nothing else you want to say?
I think it makes sense. I agree with you. I've heard some people mention that, you know, they need to be around a masculine man to be more feminine, and I don't agree with that. I think like you, if you are a feminine woman, you're repelled by a certain kind of man, and you're attracted to a certain kind of man. I know when we were reviewing Ready to Love, no offense, I was a bit repelled by Chris's character, and I couldn't really put my word, like I couldn't put a word, like I couldn't explain why, even though everyone really liked Chris. Now I realize it's probably because his character on the show came across a little feminine to me. I think he came across as very emotional, and that came across when he swore at Jessica as well. It was very he lacked a lot of emotional control. Well, at least that's how they portrayed him on the show. No offense to Chris if he ever watches this. I'm so sorry, but the character that they showed on Ready to Love sort of repelled me. And I always like there was just something about him. I know I mentioned that he's a little too animated, and he just came across a little too on the feminine side for
Yeah.
me, despite his money. Like I know he's loaded and whatever, but that's still I wasn't really a fan of the Chris character. I think I may have chosen placed Mario above Chris even because I feel like not Mario. What's his name? Moria.
Morier.
Moria. Yeah, I placed him a lot higher than Chris because he came across as a lot more. Well, he's also a bit phony, just a tad bit. But Herbert versus Chris, I think I'd pick a Herbert over Chris, the Chris character any day, because certain energies or like if you are more feminine, it's not like you'll change around a more masculine man or a feminine man. You'll just find one you'd want to be friend zone one or family zone one guy, and then hopefully be pursued by the other guy. It's like you don't change because of the sort of energies you're around. You just are attracted to or repelled by um, different energies. Yeah, so I completely agree. So that's why I don't think I have anything else to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that so all in all, I would say I with Tyler Perry, I would agree with him. But like I said before, I think he's just talking about modern women to modern men. Um, so there you have it with this episode. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I appreciate you joining me on this one, Kitu.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank
Always a pleasure. Y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe. All right, for real. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.